Good afternoon. This is Randy Farris from Cascade Sports. Cascade Sports is the home of the student athlete. I'm coming to you today from Lee Summit West High School, and I'm here with Coach Michael Schieber, and we're going to talk a little bit about Lee Summit West and the program that he's built here, because it's one of the top-notch programs in the area. First of all, Coach, welcome to the program, and it kind of brings back memories to me of playing in here sometimes, but you know, the memory I have the most is that sectional game we played over there at Staley. What a game that was.
It really was. I tell you, there was a lot of high-level players in that on both sides. You know, I can remember of standing out and watching the warm-ups that were taking place on one of the side gyms, and you know, watching your kids warm up and trying to figure out exactly how the heck we were going to stop you. We didn't do a very good job that day, but I'll tell you what, we've had some good battles over the years for sure, and you know, a lot of tight ball games, you know, both here and at Grandview. A lot of fun.
Yeah, and you know, that brought to mind to me when I was thinking about sitting down with you here today that the history of the Lee Summit West program is really the history of your coaching here, because you've been the only head coach in the program.
Yeah, you know, starting out 12 years ago, you know, at 29, and thinking at that time you kind of knew everything, and realizing very quickly you didn't know very much. You know, we've had a lot of really good players over the years that have made me look pretty smart, you know, and those guys have just built a tremendous foundation. You know, I mean, I think as a coach in a unique opportunity of opening a building, you realize pretty fast that, you know, you're a caretaker, you know, and there's going to be a time, at least Summit West, when there's a different basketball coach than Michael Schieber, and you're in that caretaker role, and you try to do the best that you can with the kids and try to help them to not only win basketball games, but to learn through that process of how to work as a team and how to sacrifice as an individual, and things that hopefully that they'll help them, you know, over time. As I said, it's been a blessing to be here for 12 years. You know, sometimes you start looking around. It's this year especially. You know, we're losing a lot of coaches. We're losing our activities director, all of which that have been here for 12 years. And
well, let's go ahead and mention them. Coach Bain has stepped down from the football program, and what a blessing he's been. My children went through Lee Summit, and they had him at Lee Summit North as a teacher. And what a blessing he's been for the kids of this district. And then Debbie Catchby actually coached my daughter in volleyball over at Lee Summit North also. So two really great human beings, and they're both retiring this year from your program. Well, Coach, let me ask you, you know, you told me a little bit about your history in the program, and what about some of the really top-notch players that have come through this program? And they've gone on to not just play basketball, some other sports as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we kind of goes back to when we started with, you know, Michael Dixon was really one of the first big-time Division I players that we had here, and is now playing overseas. You know, has really done a good job, was the MVP in his league last year. You know, couldn't be prouder of him, of the way that, you know, he's carried on. You know, Shaq Harrison, Monte Harrison, Todd Fletcher went to the Air Force Academy and started for 4 years there. All special kids, you know, and gosh, you have a lot of other kids that have went through here that have done other sports. I mean, I don't think anybody can forget Monte Harrison. I mean, he's, you know, probably one of the most explosive athletes that ever played high school basketball in Kansas City, and you know, was very blessed to coach him and his brother. You know, same with Mike, with his younger brother Jared, who's now starting at Missouri State. As I said, you know, you're kind of a product of the guys that you have, and anything that we have done here has been because of those kids, and you know, their ability to buy into, you know, what you're trying to sell. And those kids were all great players when I got them. You know, you look around and people say, oh, it's, you know, Lee Summit West, or, you know, coaching, whatever it is. But, you know, I mean, those kids had talent. You know, they could play. And we just tried to stay out of the road.
Well, a little side note on Monte Harrison, I was lucky enough to coach him in the MoCan game. And always at the end of the MoCan practice, which you've done before too, you know you're going to have that dunk contest the next day. So you have the guy say, well, who wants to get in the dunk contest? Well, the dunk contest didn't last very long when Monte Harrison was involved in it. And of course, and then the wild things he did when we had the dunk contest the next night, it was just crazy. What an athlete he was, and is. Let's move on to actually this year, and a couple of things that I'd like to, you know, you're 16-3, and you play a schedule that's second to none. Anybody in your league plays a schedule that's second to none, because it's the toughest Class 5 league in the state. But You've also had so many tight games. I believe you've had 8 games that have been decided on one possession. So tell us a little bit about how your season's going.
Yeah, it's early on, we were playing a lot of kids that either A, didn't have a lot of varsity experience, or B, were new, to that varsity experience, also bringing some young guys back that had played. It takes a while to get those guys to gel together. We were off to a decent start, went down to Arkansas and played some really, really good basketball teams down there. And, in the second game down there, got thumped pretty good by Fayetteville. And that's not a bad thing. If you learn from that, it was humbling. It was humbling for me. It was humbling for the kids. But, they never stopped, coming in, working hard, understanding the importance of practice. That's one of the things we've tried to stress. You go into a basketball game, you don't practice particularly well, you're probably not going to play very well. And, I think they progressed as a group as the years went on, and progressed together. That's the biggest thing that we're trying to stress, is that it doesn't matter whether you play 1 minute, 1 second, or play 32 minutes, you have value. And those guys have really bought into that, bought into cheering for one another and understanding, there's going to be guys that are going to play more, there's going to be guys that are going to get more touches, but we can't win without everybody. And, our bench, the cheering that they've done, they're being into the basketball game. And all of the years that you coached, you have different groups that come through. And, it's hard when you get into a situation where the bench is just silent and those guys are out there playing. Are you bought in? Is this, are you part of this, or are you just a bystander? And, our kids have really bought into that. As far as the close basketball games are concerned, we've been fortunate, I guess, to be able to make a few plays or hang on by our skin of our fingernails, in a couple of games. I don't know, I think those things kind of even out over time. We've been fortunate this year, and hopefully luck will continue.
Well, Coach, I don't think it's all luck, because I think the way you guys have run your program and setting up, I was watching you as you were getting ready to set up practice and using both gyms and the things that you're doing today. But I'd also like for you to mention some of the assistant coaches that you've had here at Lee Summit West. You've had some really top-notch assistant coaches that you might like to mention.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Town opened up the building with me and has been here ever since. I don't think you can. There's so many administrative details anymore in being a head coach when you have 5 teams, at a school. You've got a varsity, a JV, a sophomore, a freshman A, a freshman B, plus your 2 programs over at Summit Lakes that you oversee as well. And there's a lot of details, day-to-day details, meeting details, budget details, those types of things that weigh you down a little bit. And, without Ryan, over those years, we wouldn't be what we are, that's for sure. Blake Little opened the building with us, is now the head coach at Lee Summit. We're getting ready to go play them, and he's done a wonderful job over there of getting a basketball program that has a great tradition and history, and getting those guys to play really, really well. We've added some guys over the years as well. Keith Miller, world of coaching experience. It's again, you're only as good as the guys you have around you. And we've had guys that, they're not afraid to say what they think. That's the biggest thing. If you've got a guy that's just sitting there nodding your head every time you say something to him, well, you start wondering, is this guy have an opinion? And we've got guys that have had opinions, and as I said, you get into those tight games, you start talking, asking, okay, what do we need to do in this situation? You listen and you make a decision. And, I've had guys that have had great opinions and just have really put us in a great situation.
Well, Coach, it's been really great being here with you today, and wish you all the best of luck. I know your district's going to be coming up here in 3 weeks, and that's going to be a job in and of itself, because it's loaded with all those Class 5 powers that are also in your conference. So many thanks to you, and best of luck for your program.
I appreciate you having me, Randy. Thank you very much.
I'm IFBB Bikini Pro Kat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out.